Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Steven. We just bought a pellet stove for our house, 2,000 square feet in Madison, Wisconsin, climate zone 5A. The heating load on our house is about 21,000 BTUs. And here's what I learned about pellet stoves. Number one, I wish we had a stove that could turn down the heat output even further. The lowest output on the Castle Serenity is like 12,000 BTUs or 12.8 or something like this. And it basically pushes us out of the room because it creates so much heat even on manual 1. So something like the Enviro Mini or some other stoves can put out as little as 6,000 BTUs of heat. I wish there was a cheap stove that could turn down the heat output a lot more than the Castle Serenity. So I didn't know that, and I wish I would have paid more attention to that in hindsight. Also, in order to figure out how many units of heat your house actually needs, you have to do what's called a manual J load calculation. You can do this with a program called CoolCalc. It's free online, or RemRate, or some other HVAC design software, but you need to do this first and then go shopping for a pellet stove after that. Stop guessing, guys. Do the math. Figure it out. It's not difficult, okay? I did the calculations on my house with like 4 different programs just to confirm all my results because I was really anal about all this stuff. And keep in mind that the number it gives you is how much heat you need on one of the coldest days of the year. So most of the time, like 99% of the time, your stove's going to be putting out way too much heat, particularly if it's in a small room or something. So we've got it upstairs in our living room right now as a temporary. That's 12 by about 30. And hardwood pellets will heat that room up to 80 degrees when it's like 0 outside. And softwood will get it to like 74 or 76. So it's just too much heat. I wish we could turn it down more. Second part of the video I want to talk about is my experience with soft and hardwood pellets. Hardwoods seem to go through the Castle Serenity for me faster and more vigorously, and the flame is like higher where it's almost licking the tops of the heat exchanger. Like it just burns through those pellets even on manual 1. We've only ever used it on manual 1. Softwoods are much more like quiet, steady, a flame that's like 3 to 4 inches. It's very nice. So softwood pellets for us are $6.50, $5.50 for hardwood. I'm leaning towards softwood, and we'll continue to use those as we go forward. I buy like 5-10 bags at a time. We've only gone through like, I'd say less than 10 bags total. We only had the stove for less than 2 weeks. Third thing that I have learned is, let me talk about some drawbacks. Once the pellets in the hopper get like, if I put in a full bag, once there's like 20% left or something, the stove stops feeding pellets. So it needs like the pressure from the pellets to push them down into the auger or something. But if you put in a full bag, it's not gonna, you're not gonna open up the hopper and have every pellet gone and then the fire goes out. It's not like that. Like there'll be like 20% of the bag left, and then it'll just stop feeding. I gotta put in more, and then it'll push everything through. Also, I've had discoloration on the Castle Serenity from manual 1. I've only ran it on manual 1. I've got discoloration on both sides and on the front. Reached out to the manufacturer, to Artisan, and I haven't heard back yet. Third, they're sending me a new igniter. I was having some problems on Friday, and I just got an email today, Tuesday, saying that something just went out in the mail. If this is your primary heating source, they got to ship that out quicker, guys. Like, that's not really acceptable. But to have an igniter issue, and we've probably gone through like 6 or 7 bags of pellets, I'm like, doesn't give me a lot of confidence. And, we paid $900 for the stove on eBay. Yeah, take it as you will. But that was our experience. And that's all I want to say for point number 3. And point number 4, why I'm an idiot. When I bought the stove, I did not think about venting at all. I thought, oh, we'll just put it down in the basement. We needed like a 3-inch hole. We'll just go right through the rim joist, right out this side, okay? Well, in hindsight, you have to have a wall thimble, which is this big metal piece that fits, that covers both sides of the wall and gives you like clearance to combustibles and all this stuff. I had to drill a 7¼ inch hole for the wall thimble. That is the height of my rim joist. I essentially have to cut out the rim joist in the bay where I want to put the stove through, right? Guys, that's huge, okay? So you might think, oh, I just need this little hole. You got to look at all the venting specifications. So look at that before you buy a stove and have where you're going to vent it figured out before you start buying a stove. Right now, we're temporarily have ours set up in our dining room. We're venting it out through the window until we figure out if we're going to go up through a roof or whatever we're going to do. But we would have had to get a $500 structural engineer permit to vent it out the rim joist for the city to sign off on it. So I was just stupid, didn't even think about it. Was so excited to get the stove because the cold snap was coming. And yeah, so something for you to think about. Overall, though, having the fire there and cleaning the glass after every time we put a new bag in, it's actually really, really nice. And it keeps us toasty warm in that room. I will say I think pellet stoves are room heaters. They're not like whole house heaters. We run our fan, our HVAC fan, continuously when we run the pellet stove, but it doesn't really warm up the basement or the other rooms too well. It'll warm up the kitchen and the living room where we have it, but that's kind of about it. So anyway, folks, hope that's helpful.